After the worst January job cuts since the Great Recession, here are 12 major layoffs that have already been announced in February. This is by Michael Snyder. It appears that the tsunami of layoffs that started late last year is starting to accelerate. January was a horrible month for job losses, and major layoffs announcements are coming fast and furious here in February. But of course, the Biden administration would have us believe that everything is just fine. Last week, the government told us that the U.S. economy added 517,000 jobs in January, but as I discussed in a previous article, this was not actually what happened. The raw unadjusted numbers show that the U.S. economy actually lost 2.5 million jobs last month. That is a terrible number, but after the bureaucrats in Washington were done with their adjustments, quote unquote, it magically became a gain of 517,000 jobs. If you want to have faith that their adjustments are appropriate, good for you, but other sources also confirm that things have already taken a turn for the worse. For example, Challenger, Gray & Christmas just issued a report that concluded that the last month was the worst January for job cuts since the Great Recession in 2009. U.S. companies, as said, announced roughly 103,000 job cuts January, the highest monthly total since September 2020, a Thursday analysis found. Last month was the worst January for job cuts since the Great Recession in 2009, according to a report from employment firm Challenger, Gray & Christmas. Around 40% of these last month's job reductions came in the tech industry, where Google, parent company, Alphabet, Amazon, Microsoft, and Salesforce announced plans to lay off thousands of workers. Many of the companies said they grew too quickly in recent years and must cut costs to boost profitability. So many large companies announced staff reductions last month, and that trend has definitely continued this month. The following are 12 major layoffs that have already been announced in February. Number 1, Disney has decided to tell approximately 7,000 employees to hit the bricks. We will be reducing our workforce by approximately 7,000 jobs, CEO Bob Iger said during the company's first quarter earnings call. While this is necessary to address the challenges we're facing today, I do not make this decision lightly. I have enormous respect and appreciation for the talent and dedication of our employees worldwide, and I'm mindful of the personal impact of these changes, he said. Number 2, Yahoo has announced that it will be laying off more than 20% of its workforce. Yahoo will lay off 20% more of its workforce by the end of 2023, eliminating 1,000 positions this week alone, the company said in a statement Thursday. Number 3, eBay was doing quite well, but now that they have decided that 4% other workers are no longer needed. eBay on Tuesday announced plans to cut 500 jobs, or about 4% of its workforce, according to a filing with the SEC. Number 4, Affirm is yet another tech company that has recently made a decision to conduct mass layoffs. Affirm announced it's cutting 19% of its workforce Wednesday. The news came as it reported second quarter earnings that fell below analyst estimates on both the top and bottom lines. Number 5, as the U.S. housing crash deepens, JP Chase has concluded that now it's time to cut hundreds of mortgage employees. JP Chase & Company cut hundreds of mortgage employees this week, adding to job losses across the industry as home lending businesses continue to be hurt by elevated interest rates. Number 6, GoDaddy just let their workers know that they plan to reduce the size of our global team by 8%, they said. Today, we're announcing a plan to reduce the size of our global team by about 8%. This will come as difficult news for many valued and respected GoDaddy team members. Number 7, Micron is one of the biggest private employers in Idaho, but now it intends to reduce its global headcount by about 10% over the next year. Micron has begun laying off workers, a spokesperson for the company told Idaho Statesman. The news marks the beginning of the company's plan to reduce its global headcount by about 10% over the next year. Micron CEO Sanjay Mehrotra announced during a quarterly conference call with investors in December that the company is taking significant steps to reduce costs and operating expenses as demand for its principal products wanes. Number 8, GitHub has become yet another victim of the downsizing trend in the tech industry. Microsoft-owned GitHub is laying off 10% of its staff, the company confirmed to Fortune. Number 9, Nomad Health has just laid off approximately 20% of their entire corporate workforce. Nomad Health, a healthcare staffing startup, laid off around 20% of its corporate workforce this week, according to 4 terminated employees, as the surge in travel nurses and other temporary healthcare workers ignited by the pandemic cools down. Number 10, Zoom. Zoom is giving the axe to approximately 1,300 workers. Zoom on Tuesday said it will lay off about 1,300 employees, or approximately 15% of its staff, because the latest tech company to announce significant job cuts as a pandemic-fueled surge in demand for digital services wanes. Number 11, Boeing was supposedly going to be hiring more workers, but instead the company just announced that thousands of positions in finance and human resources will be eliminated. We expect about 2,000 reductions this year, primarily in finance and HR, through a combination of attrition and layoffs, Boeing confirmed on Monday. Number 12, do you remember when Dell computers were still popular? Unfortunately, the tide has turned, and now Dell has been forced to get rid of 6,650 workers. Dell Technologies Inc. is eliminating about 6,650 roles as it faces plummeting demand for personal computers, becoming the latest technology company to announce thousands of job cuts. I could go on and on if you'd like. There are countless other firms that have also announced significant layoffs. We truly have not faced economic conditions like this since the Great Recession, and a great Gallup survey seems to underscore this point. Reflecting on their personal financial situations, 35% of Americans say that they are better off now than they were a year ago, while 50% are worse off. Since Gallup first asked this question in 1976, it has been rare for half or more of Americans to say that they are worse off. The only other times this occurred was during the Great Recession era in 2008 and 2009. Unfortunately, we're still only at the very early chapters of this new crisis. As I've been warning for years, things will eventually get much worse. Our leaders have been making incredibly bad decisions for decades, and now we're going to get to suffer the consequences of those bad decisions. This generation was handed the keys to the greatest economic machine that the world has ever seen, but we wrecked it, it appears. Now the chickens are coming home to roost, and most Americans are completely unprepared for what is coming next. It's finally here. Michael's new book entitled End Times, now available in paperback and for Kindle on Amazon. This is written by Michael Snyder. About the author, my name is Michael, and my brand new book entitled End Times is now available on Amazon. In addition to my new book, I've written 6 other books that are available on Amazon, including 7-Year Apocalypse, Lost Prophecies of the Future of America, The Beginning of the End, and Living a Life That Really Matters. When you purchase any of these books, you help to support the work that I'm doing. And one way that you can really help is by sending copies as gifts to family and friends. Time is short, and I need help getting those warnings into the hands of as many people as possible. I've published thousands of articles on the Economic Collapse blog, End of the American Dream, and the most important news. And the articles that I publish on those sites are republished on dozens of other prominent websites all over the globe. I always freely and happily allow others to republish my articles on their own websites, but I also ask that they include this about the author section with each article. The material contained in this article is for general information purposes only, and readers should consult licensed professionals before making any legal, business, financial, or health decisions. I encourage you to follow me on social media, Facebook and Twitter, and any way that you can share these articles with others is definitely great help. These are such troubled times and people need hope. John 3:16 tells us about the hope that God has given us through Jesus Christ. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. If you have not already done so, I strongly urge you to invite Jesus Christ to be your Lord and Savior today. This is on the Economic Collapse blog by Michael Snyder. Please leave your comments and thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box.